What's up, everybody, and welcome to another Pokemon Wonder. Today we're going to be diving into the 2022 Championship deck. This was released just this year, and it showcases some of the best decks that you saw in the TCG tournaments from 2022. In this case, we bought ourselves one for my wife specifically. It's the Palkia and Calyrex deck, which is the water deck. And we're going to just do a quick 5-minute review, look at the good, the bad, and the ugly of this deck. So let's jump in. Before we get too far into today's episode, I want to remind everybody here, if it's your first time, we have lots of Pokemon content, everything from Pokemon investing. We do giveaways every Wednesday on the You Pick the Pulls You Want series. We have also product reviews like this one and many more. So stay tuned, stay subscribed, smash all the buttons. You know what to do. Let's jump in. So from a pure deck perspective, it's actually a very good deck, as you would expect. It won some of the championships in 2022. And we're going to be looking at that just very quickly. We'll take a quick glance into some of the things you get with the box, and I'll also show those here on screen for whatever I don't have here in front of me physically. The deck itself is a standard Palkia Calyrex deck. It actually plays very well, and I've been playing this one just recently, both against the Lugia deck from this year's championships prior to March. So it was before the rotation actually occurred, where you typically would have a Stoutland V, you might have a Radiant Charizard, or perhaps a Raikou, and then of course you would have the standard setup for Lugia at that time with Archeops and a few others. I've also played against the new one. That one's been modified obviously to cover the current rotation, and they've switched out some of the things like some of the aura energies, the powerful energies, put in some of the rapid strike, which then brings in Urshifu, single strike V and V Max, as well as some of the Tyranitar Vs. So it is quite a heavy deck. It does come with strong attacks very quickly, and I must say this 2022 championship deck did hold its ground. So within the box, once you crack this open, you're going to be looking right at things like your special championship pin. This is a very nice pin featuring Pikachu with a little bit of a London flair, and it's one that if you collect your pins, you put them on your bags, wherever you showcase these pins. It's a really nice pin to have. In addition to that, you also get a coin. The coin is your standard plastic coin, nothing too special with it. It does look nice, has nice colors, and of course matches the theme. The deck mat that you get is a standard paper deck mat. So that deck mat is something that you could just fold up, take with you on the go. If you didn't happen to have your roll-up mat with you, this could be one that you take on the fly, fold it up, and you're on the way. Other than that, though, there's not too much else that comes in the box other than the deck. So let's dive into the deck and look at some of the details and see why it's still such a good deck. So I've laid out a few of the cards here, and I'll go through these a little bit one by one just to talk about some of the strategy, but also point out, obviously, what we're facing now here with the rotation that has just occurred in March, and as we reached into April. So you have your cards typically like this with your Path to the Peak. This helps block the abilities of your opponent's Pokemon as well as yourself. You have your Calyrex V and V Max line that helps to, of course, attach energy quickly, have some big hitters. If you're discarding 2 energy, you can do up to 250 damage with just 2 water energies attached.
Wow, that's amazing.
Very powerful, but also very vulnerable. You only have 320 HP, and of course this is a 3 prize card. You lose this card and you get knocked out, and then you've lost 3 prize cards in that round. In addition to that, you have your Palkia line. Now this Palkia line is a V and a V star, which gives you a V star ability to go ahead and attach 3 energies from your discard to any one of your water Pokemon any way you wish. So that's really good once you've had a few attacks, or maybe you've gone through a few discards, especially if you're looking at such things as your Greninja. So you have your Radiant Greninja in this deck as well. You discard an energy, and it allows you to draw 2 cards off the top of the deck. Do this a few times, and then your V-Star power comes quite handy into play to either power up your Palkias or perhaps even the Calyrex. Diving a bit further into some of the keys of the deck, you have your Manaphy, always good if you're going to protect the bench. You have things like a Kyogre and other bench attacks. This is going to stop all those from occurring. To the bench only though, not to the active. Then you have your extra power hitters. You have some of these supporter and item cards that help you increase that damage just a little bit if the 250 or perhaps the 2 times the number of bench Pokemon, which is what your Palkia does, isn't quite enough. You can add that extra 30 per attack either with a tool belt or your Leon. Taking that with some of your lower end Pokemon, you then have the evolution line for Sobble, Drizzle, and Inteleon. Quite common. We saw this a lot in 2022. And this evolution line will help you obviously accelerate quickly, grab a lot of the trainers that you need, and of course help to facilitate either getting Pokemon, getting cards in your hand, getting energy into your hand. A lot of great use cases here, and you actually take a lot of turns. One of the things you got to be careful for is definitely not to deck out as you're going through those multiple turns. You have some great supporters and items such as this Melanie, which helps you attach a card from your discard, and then if you do, you can draw 3 cards, so both an attach and a draw. The Level Ball is of course spread throughout the deck, helping you draw any of the Pokemon 90 HP or less. That will definitely accelerate getting things onto the bench. As we wrap up the last few kind of noteworthy cards, you have your typical VIP Battle Pass, right? What good deck in 2022 wouldn't be one of the championship decks if you didn't have the VIP Battle Pass?
We're going to show you the real deal. You got the VIP treatment.
And of course, as you've seen throughout the year, this definitely helps you when you're reaching the point of the first turn and you want to get some of those Pokemon on the bench very quickly. This can accelerate that very fast and really change the game if you happen to get one of these on your first hand. Other than that, you have the now banned Scoop Up Net. Scoop Up Net is of course one of those where you can pick up your Pokemon, put it back into your hand, and then discard all the attached cards to it. Really helpful for this deck as well as others. You have the Professor's Research, discard your hand, draw 7 cards, pretty standard. We have our Irida. This one was a really nice one to go ahead and grab a water Pokemon and a item card. Any item card that you wanted from your deck. And of course, with the right combination, this can really help to get that energy and the Pokemon onto the bench and ready to attack. Your Power Pad. If you've ran through a few of these supporters and you want to get them back into your hand and they're all in the discard, this is the best way to go ahead and do that with these cards in the deck. And this puts 2 supporters from the discard back into your hand. And then we run through the last few, which is going to be your Capricious Bucket. Grab 2 energies from your deck, put them into your hand, right? Not bad at all. Then you have your Evolution Incense, as you would expect with that evolution lines that we've showed thus far. This would just help you find those evolutions, get them onto the bench. Boss's Orders, everybody knows this one. Serve up your opponent's best or worst Pokemon, depending on what you're looking to do. And of course, either save yourself from being killed or try to snatch the kill yourself. And then we end this off with a rare candy. So from the perspective of the deck itself, it is a good deck. I must say I like it quite a lot. Now let's transition into the other perspectives of this deck and what you might want to consider before buying the product. Overall, the deck is fun. It's good to play with. It actually teaches you a lot, and of course, it's ready to go. All you have to do is sleeve it up. It doesn't come with any sleeves, by the way.
Are you serious?
And you're ready to start playing from day one. There's nothing else you need to do, and this is a really, really good deck that will compete with most anything that you find. However, this deck is also out of rotation. This is not a deck you can take to your local TCG tournaments or your local game stores and earn any valid points. Half of that deck is a D marking, which is therefore out of rotation as of April this year. In addition to that, it's not an actual Pokemon card. Now this is probably the worst part about this product, and we did not know this until after we bought it. And I probably would not have bought it if I would have known this. So first and foremost, the cards themselves are not actual Pokemon cards. If we were going to look at a real Pokemon card, as you all know, it's the one on the left here, and it's got your typical Pokemon symbol, and of course has its respective design and character. Now, you might notice as you see this, what's wrong with the cards or perhaps your lighting. It's not the lighting or the camera. In this case, it is the cards. So these cards from this deck, and this is probably the most disappointing aspect of this purchase, was completely flat. Everything is matte. There's no texture. There's no extra coloring to it. It's really bland in terms of the look, the feel. The borders are also silver here, so they were somewhere between the one I want to do this for Scarlet and Violet, but also not necessarily putting the effort into it that you might expect to get a Pokemon card. So, and you can see this very clearly as you take a look at each one of these. And we'll look at a couple of different examples, but this Calyrex is a great example where you have just a standard cardboard with an image, and then you have a textured card with that nice rainbow popping colors. This is what I was expecting to get. When you buy other decks from Pokemon that are ready to go, they tend to have actual V and V Maxes, not these placeholders. So it was quite disappointing, as I said before. If you take that same comparison and you run that down the line, for example, with the Palkia. So here is an original Palkia. Now this one is from the Japanese set. I don't have all of these in English, otherwise I would compare apples to apples in terms of English to English. So on the right hand side is the championship deck, and on the left hand side is the actual Pokemon card you would pull from a pack. And you can see we're looking at a very bland, a very dull picture on the right. And here on the left we have our textured, colored, very beautiful shine to this card. And this is nowhere even close.
That was disrespectful.
Keeping with the same point, and this probably is one of many others, but take a look at the boss's orders. I didn't want to do every single card, but I did want to show you a couple. Again, the one on the left is the actual card you would pull from a Pokemon pack. The one on the right is what you get with the championship deck. Now this is just a regular holo, so this area would not typically have anything special about it. However, you can see the holo pattern on the left. You can see how the shine is, and on the right, there was nothing. It's just a standard picture printed. Now, this is probably the worst of them all. The Radiant Greninja. Now, the Radiant cards really do pop. They have a lot of beautiful texture to them, and they look nice as the color reflects off the card. You get this prism kind of look all up and down the card. And of course, a Radiant Greninja that's not Radiant is no longer a Radiant Greninja. So for me, this was the icing on the cake, the cherry on the top. It was the disappointing ending to the realization that I would never buy one of these decks again. Now, in summary, let's not discourage the fact that this is a $15 deck. It's a beautiful deck when it comes to playability. It is exactly what you would expect from such cards in the deck, and you can play this to your heart's content. However, anything beyond that and playing really only for fun is where the deck stops. You would have to then convert all these cards over to real cards. Now granted, you would pay a lot more. If you were to buy each one of these cards individually, I believe you'd probably pay somewhere between $70 and $100 to buy the actual cards themselves. Now it is a great deal, and if you're somewhere intermediate in the process of trying to play with real competitive decks, this is one that would be a great first start for $15. But anything beyond that, work to get yourself a real deck. Buy the cards from your local LGS or perhaps off tcgplayer.com, or trade with local friends and family to try to find the cards you're looking for. I hope you enjoyed today's video on the 2022 Championship Deck Review. Stay tuned for more product reviews and Pokemon content. If you liked the video and you made it this far, smash that like button, hit the notifications bell, and leave a comment below. Thanks so much for watching today, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one.